For those of you who know me, and for those of you who don't, my name is Bob Morgan, but those of you who know me know I talk about leadership a lot. And I'll tell you why. It's because I believe the quality of managers and team leaders is the single most significant factor in your leadership's long-term success. Most people don't leave or don't quit their job. They leave because of their boss or their manager. The chances are throughout your career, for every 10 bosses or managers you've had, you maybe have one or two that you'd still want to work for, if you were lucky. A lot of people have none. And in our current environment, 85%, statistically, 85% of employees are either not engaged or they're actively disengaged, and that is a depressing thought. What the good news is, a great manager or leader can raise engagement by as much as 40%. And what does that do? It's obvious. That equates to sales, to profit, to less turnover. Less turnover creates to making it easier to sell cars at a lower cost. We could go on and on and on. Can we all agree that the above is true and we'll all shake our heads yes? The problem is our actions don't speak very clearly. Let's talk about this for training for our sales department. Managers, for the most part, and I'm not with a broad brush here, are trained the way we were trained 20, 30 years ago. It doesn't work. We train everybody with the same scope, and that just doesn't work. And the cost is exponentially high. It's one of the reasons we have such high turnover. Then we bring in outside training because our phone skills are bad and our closing rate's only 8%, and it should be 15 because that's what NADA tells us. So we bring in an outside trainer for a 3-day boot camp on phone skills to train our salespeople at $5,000 a day, and that's $15,000. And that worked for a while, but we don't have managers who follow up with it, so it doesn't. So we just end up going back to the same thing. Or we go to offsite training from some experts for a half a day for $495 a person. You times that by 20, that's $9,000. And they give us great advice that most salespeople can't follow. Or we bring in video training, snippets at 20 minutes, and we expect our salespeople to do it every day. $200 a month per person, times that by 30. That's $72,000 a year. Our employee turnover is over 75%. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we spend well over $500,000 on our salespeople every year to get what we're getting. That's crazy. Jackie Cooper said it. Keep doing what you're doing and you'll keep getting what you got. I could go on for more. More of the training we require from our salespeople. And I know video training is not so bad, but if it's helping us with our product knowledge and that. But let's turn our attention to our managers. And I'm going to say this one more time. The quality of your managers and team leaders is the single biggest factor in your dealership's long-term success. So what do we do with our managers? Do we give them a great foundation? You think back to this, you can only think of one or two that you'd work for. Maybe you can't even think of one. So obviously we don't. A corporation I worked for, once a month we met for 90 minutes, and they spent most of the time belittling the guy's statistics weren't very good. And spent 15 minutes training us on some administrative thing to point out to our salespeople that they weren't doing right. That's not training. Or we do some video training. Watch some videos of some leaders, do some scoring, or do a survey about it. 95% of the managers that I speak with find this training useless. The leaders spend their time training us on administrative things. Is there a cost to that? Yeah, no, it doesn't cost anything, but if you look at the cost, it's huge. Huge. And that's the extent we give our training for our managers. We give them absolutely no foundation. We throw them right to the wolves. The employee who has the most significant impact on our business, we spend maybe $12,000 a year as a group training. And we spend upwards of $500,000 because of our training of our salespeople. It doesn't make sense. And we're training them to what they deem to be useless. Salespeople are only as good as their manager, their boss. And if we would train them, if we would help them, if we would give them a foundation, a way to build that solid foundation, and the art of managing their employees that frees up time so they can do most of the training. And when your manager does the training on the phones, when your manager does the training on the internet, you have the person to follow up right there in the dealership. Habits begin to change, small habits. And we no longer need the intensive boot camp training that fades when the trainer leaves. Spend money and time on your management and your team leaders. Give them a foundation. Save vast amounts of money over the long term. Soon, your team will be a well-oiled running machine that just needs a little tune-up now and then. Stop this madness. Invest in your managers. True leaders will bring success.